Okay, so I'm going to make a political video, and I'm kind of getting tired of making political videos because it just keeps feeding the narrative, and then people are just always arguing online back and forth. So I think even what I'm doing now is feeding into it, and I think feeding this algorithm of political discourse is becoming more trolly and more psychopathic and less actually informed. There's way more fake news almost day by day, and it's not just a right or left thing anymore. I think there's actual just centrist people who are not giving a shit either way and trolling both sides, or there's foreign actors, or there's people that are doing it for their own financial gain and not actually like a political belief. So I think it's just kind of devolved into, well, politics have always been like these big tent umbrella parties on the left or right. You have like 5 main issues on the left, 5 main issues on the right, and people who vote for either side probably only agree with 2 or 3. There's people that agree with all of them, but now it's kind of those 5 issues on each side is kind of plagued with misinformation and all this kind of stuff. But anyways, what this video is about is the Eminem thing, which I can see arguments for both sides on a lot of stuff, but this is such clear misinformation and clear, not even trolling, but just psychopathic behavior of photoshopping Eminem with Jeffrey Epstein and things like this. It's just, it's so blatant that if you weren't within that echo chamber, it seems just really odd. And I'm not in either side's echo chamber, and I've been in both echo chambers. I'm a very rare person in that case, is I've been sucked into both echo chambers at different points in my life over the last 4 years, and I am completely out of both echo chambers, and I see the huge amounts of toxic energy and negativity on both sides, and I don't think that there is a strong center anymore. I don't think that there's much bridging that can be done, or any like alt center, or any real road back to sanity. But the Eminem pedophile thing is something that's so blatant it should suck people out, but it's sucking people further in, it seems. And basically, to give a bit of a backstory to this, is Eminem came out at a Harris rally to introduce Barack Obama, and within minutes after he did this, people were photoshopping his face with Jeffrey Epstein, calling him a pedophile. Well, actually, I think first happened, people were canceling him, saying they'll never listen to his music again, and then they were doing the Epstein thing, and then they're photoshopping Eminem with P. Diddy, and then Diddy with this girl, and this girl with Epstein, and it's all photoshops, and it all happened spontaneously after he endorses Harris. It would never have happened if he'd endorsed Trump. So it's crazy. And the same thing happened to Bruce Springsteen to a lesser extent when he played the rally. And I think Mark Cuban is in there somewhere as well, that they did that to him. But Mark Cuban didn't actually endorse Harris, to my knowledge. He's just he's been pressured a few times to endorse Trump, and he's never done it. So anyways, it just seems crazy, and I think it's a very working class type thing, and I've been in the working class my whole life, and I've not came from wealth, and I didn't go to college, and it's kind of like a working class like tactic or roast to kind of do the whole diddler thing. And I think it starts off, if someone's very far out of line to the narrative, it kind of starts off light with, you got to be this way to be a real man, and then it kind of goes to like, you're a fag. And then if you're really doing either something, like if you're on site and you're questioning like the foreman's authority, he can call you like something like diddler sometimes, in some very like, that wouldn't happen in a union, but if you're like in like slave labor type of, like, you can be replaced within a second by somebody who will work for a potato. That's kind of like the insults that you'll get if you have a task that you have to do. That's kind of just the hard love kind of narrative of the dad that'll beat his kid for wearing pink socks type of thing. But it kind of has morphed into like this kind of weird masculine versus feminine thing, where if you're not for Trump, you're like a beta cuck, and you're Bruce Springsteen, who looks like a lesbian, and Eminem, who's a pedophile, and this you have to be in some kind of Hillary Clinton cult at a pizza parlor, and you have to be doing all this, like you have to be with the lizard people. And I mean, it's fun to say these things when you're working 60 hours a week, and you see people who are basically saying you're an idiot, or they're better than you. They're saying this indirectly. Like, I get that. And you don't want to be that guy, and you don't want to go against the grain too hard. But it's just so blatant that like people are actually trying to, it's not even like a roast or like an insult anymore. It's actually trying to pass it off as fact. And it kind of goes with the whole Alex Jones info wars thing. Like you I think it's called the Alex Jones Show now, but like his original show was Wars, and like it's information wars, and it's something that's real. If you say something enough times, it doesn't necessarily become factual, but it becomes true. And I don't know if that's a Hitler quote or somebody that, or like, it could have been Stalin, it could have been Mussolini. It was one of those guys who said something pretty close to that. And I see a lot of that going back and forth, and scientists can be bribed on both sides to kind of alter graphs and polling numbers, who knows. And I think the temperature is really high. I think that's something Biden used to say, is let's turn the temperature down. And I don't know if there would be violence. I don't know if there's going to be any more shootings or any rigged election. I don't know. And if it does, I don't know who would do what, because frankly, I'm not endorsing Harris, because Harris has the Cheneys behind her, and there clearly is some sort of deep state. And Jeffrey Epstein was an actual pedophile. He was a New York financer. Like, he was there, and that's like a question mark. Like, who did this guy know? Who killed him? Like, that's real. But then you kind of look at him, and then he's with Trump just as much as he was with the Clintons, and then he was with RFK Jr. as well. So I mean, it's not like it's him getting tied to the Democrats. Like, he was clearly not even a political person. Like, he was just politicians were in his pocket, not the other way around. So I mean, it just seems like there's so much misinformation and so many like psychopaths and bad actors trying to frame things for their gain, in a way that the level of hatred has been peaked so high that I don't know where that's going to go. And that's what's worrying. And I think that's why a lot of people are saying like Trump fascist is they're worried and they're scared. And then it's in that way, it's more scary. Some of the supporters who are doing like the trying to frame Eminem for being a pedophile because he came out and supported Harris. That's the supporters online that are doing that are more scary than anything Trump's done. Because Trump, I've always found to be entertaining. Like, he's said crude things. He's done The Apprentice. He was in Home Alone 2. He's kind of this eccentric billionaire. He was the original Elon Musk, and he did it better than Musk. Musk is kind of like cringe and forced. But kind of like the mob mentality he stirred up is a little bit dangerous. And I think the Democrats are more corrupt than the Republicans as well. So that's worrying too. And then it's very, very worrying. It's like if this was to actually pop off to being like an actual conflict, I wouldn't want to support either side. Not physically and not morally or with books that I would write if I could be a writer, but I'm not, or any outlet, any art. Like, I wouldn't want to dedicate or support either sides of this. And I think both sides have went really far off the tracks, and there's issues that aren't even being addressed as real issues on the left, like immigration and the threat of the alliance between Russia, China, North Korea, Iran. And then Trump, I don't know if his policies to kind of just blow up the tax system and go to war with the Federal Reserve would work or not. Might isolate the U.S. I don't know. Might piss off the U.S. allies. It could work. I don't know. I'm very confused about the whole thing. But what I see is bad actors online, and that's kind of always what I've tried to speak against in my videos. And I don't know if it's landed. I know that I don't have a wide audience on any of these videos. I think I have 20 people or so. And they're kind of like me in a lot of ways. I think a lot of the people who come on this channel are to troll. A lot of people just get randomly hit in their algorithm, and then some agree, and then some are kind of more moderate MAGA people who kind of want to have maybe a bit more centrist stance towards some of this. But overall, I don't like the Eminem kind of stuff, like that kind of clearly forced fake narrative, because I've always wanted to be someone who doesn't support misinformation, and I've always wanted to have fact-based conversations, but I think that's gone, and maybe it never existed, and there's been people who are being fair with their critiques, and maybe those were the outliers, not the other way around. Maybe there's more psychos out there than we would admit or see, or maybe it's just that kernel of psycho and narcissism that's in everybody comes out when they're online because it's anonymous, and maybe they'll grow out of it. Maybe they're bots from other countries that want to destabilize. I'm not against either political candidate, but I'm against kind of what the fan bases of both of the candidates are doing. I don't trust either side. I don't understand or like where politics is. The more I look at it, the less I understand, and the more disgusted I am just by people throwing mud at each other. And I think the whole divide and conquer thing has really worked in America, and no one knows who supports who at this point, outside of two echo chambers that are force-fed propaganda through a few either independent outlets of podcasts or mainstream media. CNN is clearly left, Fox is clearly right, and now there's kind of podcasts that are doing the same thing. There's no actual, like, I don't know what it was, but there was in the 60s or 70s, like, I don't know, I don't think it was 60 Minutes Hot Seat or something, where they would actually come and they would have reasonable conversations. And I think it was in the late 70s or early 80s, there was a law that changed, and news could be owned by political parties, or they didn't have to be, they didn't have to use discretion, and they could be biased. And then that kind of, I think, divided people. Social media's put gas on that. But anyways, Eminem's not a pedophile. If he is, that would surprise me, because I don't know him. I've never met him. So I guess I can't factually say he's not. And it seems like he's guilty until proven innocent at this point, and that's kind of what I'm trying to speak against in this video. Is nobody wants to just be randomly accused of being a pedophile. And if you did that to someone on the street, they'd probably, punch you in the face, kick you in the balls, push you down the steps. Like, I think that's something that, like, would happen in prison. Like, people would accuse somebody of that, and then the guy would be like, what the hell, and they'd, like, stab him to death or something. Like, this is like saying the most disgusting insult, and now not even doing it as an insult, like calling somebody a punk or a goof or a nunce or something, and trying to actually pass it as fact. It's very, very bad actor, psychopathic, and it's troubling. And November 5th is the election, and that's kind of where the temperature is. So I mean, it's troubling, man. Like, that can actually, I mean, Trump was shot, so Cheney's behind Harris, so it could, I don't know who the good guy is, but I see Trump supporters acting out, doing some crazy shit online. Musk is a crazy weirdo, so I think everything's fucked. And obviously, whoever wins will form the narrative, and then they'll be the truth teller. So whoever wins is going to be right. That's how it unfortunately works. But I wish it never came to this. And kind of, I've been like, I'm rambling on now, but I've been sucked into both sides of this echo chamber. Like, I've been on the Trump echo chamber, I've been on the Biden, Bernie Sanders echo chamber. I like Bernie Sanders still. That's a common sense guy. Like, I think Bernie Sanders is by far the best out of any of these guys. But yeah, it's crazy, and I think it does have potential for some real mischief of this election. Anyways, I'm gonna end it there. One more thing, there was a Trump supporter that was caught burning ballots. So I mean, I still am closer to the left, but I don't trust Harris because now she's with Cheney, and then there's the war going on in Ukraine and the migrant crisis. Like, it's like you're getting fucked either way. So I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to close this video with. You're gonna get fucked either way, but I don't like the. Maybe we won't get fucked if we come together instead of under Harris or Trump. We come together just our own, and then they can do their thing, but together as people, we lower the temperature and we be nice to each other. That's probably where we should go, but I don't know, and I don't know how that's doable at this point. But anyways, peace out.